Ladies and gentlemen, got back from Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. I think they got something they want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. Washington, D.C. I think they got something they want to say.
Welcome back to another episode of Politrix Podcast. I'm your host, Kirsten, and I've got my lovely co-host.
Hello, everybody. Maxine, the Democratic wild card.
And hello, everybody's favorite conservative in New York, Christopher Wright.
Yes, and today's episode 24. We making moves, guys.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, so thanks to everyone for listening and sharing the podcast and leaving comments. Please continue to share it with friends and family. Follow us on Politrix Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Politrix Pod, YouTube. If you're listening, hit subscribe, leave a comment, hit like. You know.
Yeah, no, I want to say this. It's for the people out there who are just on the fence about politics, who are really they're not saying, they're truly independents out there.
Right.
And this is for you, and you got family members or friends who are like that, or you want to get more involved into politics, get this podcast out to them.
Yep,
that's what we're there for.
Yep.
You're going to love us.
You're going to listen to us, and if this is your first time listening, go back to episode 1. We were a little shaky in that one. We had a different name.
Yeah.
But
oh my God. Do you remember our first name?
It was so weird. I listened to it on Spotify.
Wait, that's right.
Balance of Power. Girl.
What was it? Well, I didn't hear it.
I know. Balance of Power.
Oh my gosh.
And the funny thing is that if you hear it, it's like crickets. There's no intro. It's like, oh my God. If you're listening to the first episode, just tread lightly. We were just kind of our first one. And
you'll still enjoy it, all right?
Yeah, guys, since March we've been doing this. Like
Amazing.
This is October. Like we're about to hit like the new year. Like election season's coming up. Election day is coming up. So actually, election day is really close to today. So we should talk about that. Before I talk about that, I do want to say you can listen to us on Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeart, Anchor, and please donate to us on Patreon, and thank you for supporting us. We love you. Keep doing it. Fight the good fight. All right, how was everyone's week? Let's talk.
Well, still moving, still stressed out. Nothing's really changing with that.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, check on your strong friends, because we ain't all right, okay? They're telling you they're not. Check on your strong friends. That's what I have to say about my week.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good message. Check on your strong friends.
I think that's the message for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Check on. You and I had a really interesting week. We went to see the premiere. We went to see a screening of a film that's coming out on Friday.
Yes, a very, very good film.
Yes.
Very enjoyed it very much.
What's it called?
Harriet.
Oh, and what's it about?
It's based on the Harriet Tubman story. So.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed the movie a lot. As we saw the pre-screening, I just want to say first and foremost, go see that movie out there. Anybody, if you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, whatever you call yourself, if you're American, put your butt out there and see that movie. History buffs, go out and see that movie. It was very historical, accurate. People don't know out there. The reason you guys always say I love history so much, but the reason why I love history because Harriet Tubman was the woman who got me intrigued, and I was like, whoa, what is this old history stuff? This is kind of interesting. And she was very powerful, very strong woman, amazing woman. You know, I hear all these women, I hear black girl magic. Harriet Tubman was magic all day, every day. Like you can't touch Harriet Tubman. Beyonce included. I'm sorry, Beehive.
He's right.
He's
absolutely right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. And with this film, I mean, let's get into it. Let's talk about a little bit about it. We don't want to give you any spoilers for those who haven't listened to it. I mean, we've seen it. But what we really saw in that film is something specifically for me watching it as a black woman. I felt really like, wow, I can't believe I didn't know all these like intricate things, right, about her life and how strong she was. Like you kind of hear, and sometimes and this is the thing about when you hear iconic when you read or learn about iconic people, they almost don't feel like human beings, you know?
That's when I fell in love with history, because I'm like, she didn't seem real when I heard. Because I was in cartoons at the age. I was cartoons and comics and like all day long. So here's a woman that you hear about, like, this sounds like a comic book character.
Right.
This is, and you're like,
it's
this
almost
really
superhero.
happened?
Yeah, it's almost like a superhero, right? You would say? It felt like
definitely.
Yeah.
And when I found out as a kid that this is a real woman who really did this, it made me like, wow, history's pretty cool, because there's people that were like superheroes.
Yep.
Right.
one time.
And that's what I felt like. I felt like she was one of these iconic people that basically what she did, her sacrifices, like I know she, in her mind, from the film, even just watching the film, how she was able to, free the slaves. She was just doing what God's calling was.
Yeah.
That was how she saw it, right?
Definitely.
And for us, hundreds and hundreds of years from now, we literally can look at what her sacrifices and say, this is the reason why we're doing this podcast today. This is the reason why we're waking up and going to work. It's like because of this woman who made those sacrifices. She didn't know what she was just like, I got to get, this isn't right. She said she was from what happened with her story was she felt like, well, she knew she was supposed to be freed. Her husband was freed and she wanted to be freed. And unfortunately her master.
Yeah, because at the time, there was no slavery in the North. So they got to the point where they had, the paperwork from their slave owners saying that you pretty much can be freed after a certain period of time. And when they got to that period of time, they were like, she kind of came like, okay, we're doing everything we're supposed to do. Can we be freed?
Right. And he said no. The master said no. And like in this film, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but she has these spells that, in the film.
In history, I learned that she has epilepsy. And
right.
For those out there who know what epilepsy is, it's when you have you pass out randomly.
Because she hit her head. She had a tragic accident when she was a teenager.
Right.
Yeah. Not too many spoilers alert, but yes, it is true.
So
but people know history.
But if you know history,
you know this.
I didn't know this, but she's talking to God. She'll have these moments where she passes out and she thinks she's talking to God, but it's really she's having
a seizure, or it could be passing out. But it's either or. But that's what happens when you.
But it's brilliant the way she, in her mind, and she was
mentality,
because we didn't have medicine to tell us. You know what's happening to you? Like she just thought,
well, people don't know that.
God's
that's
back in.
But people don't know that's how God works, though. People say, we put a scientific term on a lot of these things, but at one time these were people saying, "This is God speaking to me." And if you see what she did, she seems like there's somebody telling her what to do before it happened.
Right.
Wow.
And so it's like, can you? When do you say this is no longer a coincidence? This is God's hand.
I don't like to mystify things, but with this particular thing, I do feel like there is a bigger force behind it. Like you can't, there's certain things you just can't say. Like she didn't have like GPS, you know what I mean? To tell her where to go.
Yeah.
She was literally, she was doing this on her own. Like,
and that she didn't have fear,
and no fear.
That's so scary.
The funny part of this, we enjoyed is that remember we thought that everybody thought that she was a man, remember? Because they just couldn't believe that a woman
was. When they looked like, not to spoil too much, but when people
we're spoiling it, so we enjoyed it.
We spoiled
We're just
it.
spoiling it.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
it's like a good movie. When she met a lot of people who were, because the Underground Railroad was around before she, was a part of it. So when they met her, the people that were orchestrating it at the time, they were like, "You did this by yourself? Like you just like how the heck? Like we have orchestrated and we designed a setup for this for us to do this, and it's still hard. Like you by yourself.
She brought so many slaves,
and she kept going.
But
all
they thought
way.
she was. They were calling her Moses because she was like they thought there was a man that was doing it. That was coming back and getting all the slaves and like freeing them. Like the way this film does it, like. I think that we have to give it a chance. I think that these are the type of films. I know you weren't able to get to the screening, but
I wasn't.
Yeah. But
life.
but you're moving. You're busy moving, and you've got kids. And
hectic.
You've got a lot going on, but you do plan.
Yeah, of course.
It's a very important movie. But we felt like for us watching it, we just said to ourselves, we're like, wow, people might not see this. People will judge this film because it's a film about slavery. A slave.
And they're tired of it, right?
They're tired of it.
Yeah.
And here's my thing. I'm tired of it too. I'll tell you that.
I've been tired of it.
I'm so tired of it. I don't even want to see another slave film. But this film, thank you. It was so well made in the sense of like it made us feel like. It made us
pride.
Yeah,
afterwards.
Pride. Yeah, you didn't
accomplishment.
Right. You didn't feel like you were just like.
It was like if you seen the movie,
humdrum, like feeling like, oh god, another beat down to the system. You know what I mean?
No, it was to me like the movie Glory, which I don't put too many movies on that platform. That was when Denzel was very young when he did that movie, and it was about the first the black troop in the Civil War that
War,
fought, and like it's like technically these guys, a lot of guys were former slaves, and but the Denzel gets whipped in the movie, but at the very end of the day, look what they did for American history. Look how they built this country by what they did, and that's what Harriet did. So it's not like here's another slave movie and it's gonna get beat up upside the head the whole movie. I'm not saying that's it's happened, that's history, but. It's something you can feel prideful when you watch it. It's something as a black person, like I said, if I'm blessed to have a daughter one day, she's gonna be watching Harriet. Trust me,
that's right.
A couple times.
That's right. That's right. Yep. That's right. So let's talk a little bit of some topics, because I do think that there are some topics in the film that I think that we can kind of
intertwine.
Tie into what we're doing. Intertwine. Yeah. One of the things that I thought, the family structure, the fact that it was so strong, the family, how her father, her mom, like, she went back to get her parents, her sister.
Strong black family. Who talks about that? Strong black family?
I know, but we all do.
I
mean, we all do.
I give you ladies credit. We all appreciate the strong black family.
And so a lot of Democrats do too. So Chris, since you talk a lot about it, what do you think, and I don't want to talk about what's wrong with the strong black family, but what do you think are the positives? That's what I want to know. Like, what do you think, like, us sticking together as a family? Because let's say, like, you were just telling us a story about the family that kind of bails out on you when you need them or something. But what do you think of when a family sticks together to, like, what are your, I love to hear your talk.
No, I love to see that. That's, it shows you how to deal with life. That's what family, when people say that's what family is about, and all, because people say that sometimes, and you look at them like, you guys have no clue what family's about, because of the stuff you're doing to each other. Like, when you see what people say, families stick together, blood is thicker than water, all that. And when you see a strong family unit, it shows you what that's about. And that includes when you see people like, Asian community do this very well, like the elderly in their community, their grandparents. Like, when they get old, they don't just like, okay, back to the old folks home, get out of here, grandma.
Right.
No, they're like, they become the head of the house when they're elderly. Like, if the person sits at the head of the table in the Asian community is the grandfather, not the father. Because they're like, okay, the father is, yes, he's close, but this guy's been here for 80 years. This guy's only been here for 40 years. So he technically knows more about the world than this guy does, so he's the head of the household. So that's where I think family should be about. Is like, nobody gets tossed to the side. When people have troubled times and they're on their down, then there's family members that are on their up. They need to come and help the family members on their down. And then when those family members are on their up and the other family members are on their down, then you switch it up and you do the same thing vice versa.
I agree. What do you think about the family structure? The fact that
I think feeling sometimes like I don't have that really emphasizes why it's really important, But, I mean, what I want to see is just improving on that. I mean, I know we talk about where did the black family structure go and wanting to see that restored, but also acknowledging when it was problematic. You know what I'm saying? And being like, having that conversation, which I feel like as black people is sometimes hard to have, but to like face it. Like, there was a lot of things that also happened in the family structure that was problematic, was traumatic. And like, how do we not only restore that, but how do we do it in a healthy way? I think that's like where I'm thinking and what I want to see happening, where you're having conversations that you're allowed to have. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't something we did. We didn't talk about things. Like, there's just stuff that,
like in this
or
film,
you stuck together even when it was like not a good situation. So there's like, it's a good thing, and I don't really feel like I've had that, so I don't even know what that feels like. Like, Chris grew up with that, and he still talks about it. It's like your entire being is what you grew up with, your father, all these things that were instilled in you. In the structure that you had.
I mean, my father,
even though
I had that too.
Even though you did as well, right? You both talk about it, even though we acknowledge some of the problematic events of your life and stuff, but like, you both carry that, so it's so important to who you are.
My dad gets a crown for just being there for 18 years, because that's how many black males don't have a father at all.
That's
so
right.
It's like the fact that he was even there.
And the fact, like, the two of you, who you are, like, a lot of that has to do with the structure, the family you had. And I think it speaks volumes of who you are.
Thank you. We also feel like what you have too, even though the struggles have made you strong and who you are to keep striving. So I think that there's a positive in the family structure being together. I think that what this film kind of also showed us is that back in the day, it was just a little bit more. Your dad told you what to do, and you listened to it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, well, what you want me to do that for? Like, it wasn't like we didn't have any kind of like back talk. It was like, go to the church, do what this thing, and it's like, but I don't want go. Like, it wasn't even like.
And that's my even my grandfather's generation.
Yep,
like when I talked to him, and he would tell me how he lived his life, and I was just like, hear it. I'm like, man, like. And I would compare it to even me growing up. Like, I'm like that to an extent because my dad was just he was military. He was like, you better, So I was even like that, but it frustrated me to the point where I see how my friends were never like that. And I'm like,
right.
So it was already crumbled by the time I was coming up. And when my grandfather was like around, it was like, even they were like not too far from slavery technically in terms of history.
Right.
And they just, boom, like, you better listen. And but that to me goes a long way.
Well, the one thing that we also have to think about with the Black community is, where did we learn our discipline from? When you think of like Black Americans, like where do you think you learned your discipline? The parents, I mean, it looks like it started from slavery. Right?
No, when it comes to what's curious to me is spanking is the one thing, and then to me, I'm pro spanking. I'm pro spanking, but
that's
if you look at history
though.
of it,
but that's everywhere though, because even in Africa, they were spanking their kids
and
like that,
and then that's what you got.
In Asia, like they spank their kids everywhere. Even in Europe, there's parts of Europe that kids get spanked. But the fact that the discipline of like, don't talk back to me. That's like that instilling fear in your child. That was something that Black Americans had to do to their kids from back in the day. You know what I mean? I was watching something and I can't remember what it was, but it was so, oh my God, it was so enlightening, because what I learned was, I was even thinking, I was like, wow, I didn't even thought about this in this manner. The fact that okay, so people say, well, how did the slaves get here, right? How did Africans get here, right? But what we forget is they were like, well, why didn't they just say no and just stay home, right? But there's certain things like in Jamaica and in the Caribbean. How do you think the Caribbean became the Caribbean, right? Because Black people that were too unruly, right? The Haitians, the Jamaicans, the Bahamians, whatever. They were left in the islands as they kept coming into they were dropped off. They were coming to the United States. But what I didn't think about was, there was the first generation of slaves who weren't like, they weren't happy with this. They weren't like, yeah, all right, we're here now. What do you want us to do? They were they were like, no, they were fighting back. They weren't doing anything. They would rather kill them. Like, they were fighting, right? The thing is, what they did was they figured the children, they focused on the children. And what they did was, if you notice in slavery, even with the film, it's like, they noticed there was like a focus on the children in the film, right? Did you notice that? It was like, oh, we're gonna sell it. Your son looks good, right? So the mom would say, oh no, my son's not good. I think you showed me something like that. Like the fact that that just that trauma of like having, I'm sorry if I'm on a tangent, I'm trying to roll with me. You might have to play it again. But the fact that like the mom back in these slavery days would have to downplay her son's strengths because she didn't want her son to be sold into until she would never see her son again. You know what I mean? So when you think about that, it's like, these kids, it was they focused on the children that was going to be the legacy. Yeah, conditioning the slaves to do well. So then what happens is, and this comes back to disciplining, is like, they would teach their kids how to react to things. They're going to teach them fear. Like, you see that white man, don't talk back to him. You know what I mean? You see that black, and then they would beat up the husband right in front of the woman to show them, like, this is what we're doing to your husband. He's not worth it, So that, what did that do? That emasculated these fathers, So a lot of this stuff, I just wonder, how much trauma is it we don't even know to this day, where people always say, like, why is a white person, Black person would open up their doors to a white person before they'd open up the doors to their brother or to, a Black person. Whereas in other cultures, Asians would support their Asian people first, So there's just a lot of traumas that we have. And I just wonder.
What was that terminology that I sent you the other day?
Jeez, that was what I was thinking about. It was a mix between what you sent me and
doctor?
something else.
Yeah, I sent you. There was a doctor. I don't remember her name.
Right.
She calls it post-traumatic slave syndrome.
That's a very
and like this is a real thing
she's
she's studying.
Yeah.
And she said she's done studies and she can basically prove that there's to this today traces of trauma from slavery time.
Oh, I see it all the time.
Like she can prove it through her stuff. I haven't dug deep into it, but I had sent.
Yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with her.
I can send you the clip too, but she was
I
talking about it, and there's a it's called PT, whatever, post traumatic PTTS or something like whatever. The point is, it's like a real like a PTSD from slavery.
I think a big thing of the whole black women. I see a black woman who was not all black women now, not all black women who are single parents. What there comes, you have to have a boy and a girl. They treat the boy like he's golden, and they kind of shove the girl to the side. That goes back to what you were just mentioning with when it comes to slavery. Right. Men were like that's the top. That's what you want. If you're own a business and you have a plantation, you're going to want the male because he's the one that's going to bust his butt. He's going to be out there working physical. So,
the woman also.
But what about white people?
She would take care of the house.
Oh, no,
she took care of the.
No, but if you want labor done,
right,
labor, physical labor.
I don't know.
And
what about white people?
Remember, they had black
like white women that cater to their sons. Mama's boy.
No, I get that, but that's still kind of technically in what he's saying. Farmers need white kids.
They had the one male slave that they would tie up, like almost like cattle, where they would have him reproduce with the slave women because he was the biggest, strongest man of the group.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Definitely.
Jesus.
That's why I think you look at the NFL now and NBA. That's why black men in America, we run the show.
Let me tell you something. One thing that America needs to do is get educated on the history of America, how like what happened to the slaves. Like, don't shun it out because it's like, it's happened so long. Learn it, understand it, because just like you know the Holocaust. For some people, like Jewish people, they learn the Holocaust. They know the ins and outs. They know about Auschwitz. They know about the concentration camps. They know about all the different things. They read books from Elie Wiesel. We all did that. Know your history about your black ancestors, because that's white people too. Know your black ancestor, because this is the country that, I mean, technically this is your history, part of your history.
And when I say American first, a lot of people, especially people on the left, they look at me like, oh, you're a coon. What do you mean? You just brainwash a white man. You're just trying to kiss a white man's butt. I'm like, I say American first because I know my history of my country and who died and who grinded, who did all this stuff for me to come out and say, I'm an American.
That's facts.
Now.
That's right.
So I'm
By
saying
the way, I've made up my mind.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm getting the tattoo I told you about.
Oh, you are?
Oh.
Yeah, but I changed my mind. Instead of getting American flag,
I'm
getting Made in USA.
Oh, that's the best. That's when the products are their best, by the way. People.
Like, remember we had that conversation? I don't want to like derail, and I was saying how like I went through this period where I was like really uncomfortable, like being open with my like patriotism as a Black American in what's very a problematic time period. Like this show like made me like, no. Go back to how you feel.
Totally.
So I went back to how I felt, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, make America great
Definitely.
next, right?
I like
make
that.
America
I like
great
that.
tattoo next.
Now
Right?
I'm a permanent.
Now we're working there. We're
Girl,
getting there. One step at a time.
No, but like to his point, like there's certain things.
I don't think she heard me.
I heard you. I heard the shade. No, but the point I'm just trying to say, like, so I'm gonna have a permanent mark on my body because of this podcast.
Yes.
No, but there are things like that like not only just that, but also the history of like, like I said, like I know countries where I'm really, really proud to be from here and wouldn't want to be in those conditions. So it's a combination of.
But you also said you didn't at that same podcast. You also said you couldn't live in any other place but here. You did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did say that.
America,
I remember
God
that.
bless
You did
America.
say that. That was a couple weeks. That was like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
You did say I've been everywhere in the world. I've seen everything, but
I
there's no
have
country.
lived at this place before, so maybe I should clarify it because I
Okay.
had lived there before.
Right. Okay, so that's fair.
Let's be real.
Okay.
Be real.
But you're right. You're right.
So
Sorry, bring it back.
Yeah. So let's get into one other topic quickly because I want to jump into a little bit more if I can. What about the fact that we were supposed to use her like we were supposed to have her on, I believe, the $20 bill.
Yeah, that's right.
And now it just got shoved into paperwork, and now it's like
It's
looks like it's not going to happen.
derailed yet.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to happen?
No.
I just can't see like
How do you,
conservatives.
what do you think about it?
Well,
And I can't think
my
of.
only problem is this. I told you how much I love Harriet Tubman. How much I love it. The only problem I have is this. Is this for politics? Is this to say? Is this pandering? Is this saying, "Oh, look, black people, well, look, we put your Harriet Tubman." And it's like, but you guys replaced her with Andrew Jackson, who was a bedwenching, Trail of Tears having, Democrat.
Well, they're not going to replace. They're going to put him on the back, I think, right?
Oh, they are.
I think they were going to put him on the back and her in the front, something like that.
Okay, well,
I don't know,
Why does
but
she have-
but still, even with that said, I mean, Andrew Jackson was.
But do you feel about all the blood, sweat, and tears like we earned that?
No, I know Harriet.
We
Definitely, I'm
built
saying
the country,
no.
you said.
If Harriet, if they would have just, if this would have nothing to do, if this wasn't like during elections, or this wasn't, if this is something that this did, I'd be like, okay, whatever.
Well, who? If
It was
Trump did it,
2015.
if Trump
No, it
did it,
wasn't.
wouldn't you be like, great?
No, if it's Trump,
Obama did it in 2015.
If Obama would have did it, it would have been. I would have had no questions asked. I would have been like,
Yeah.
yes.
But it wasn't even like an election year for him. He was up. It was like his almost last term. Like what? I don't see.
But I don't understand why you say it's political. Like how I don't understand how it's. How
Well,
you
I
see it.
see pandering. I don't want pandering done. I don't want
But
people
how-
just say, "Hey, look, black people, we did this for you,"
Like, you're
and
happy,
look,
be
in a
quiet.
couple months, give us some votes. You know what
Okay,
I mean?
I see what you're saying there. But don't forget that we also have to stop. We need, as black people, we need to demand what we want because we also built this country and we deserve that $20 bill. We deserve it. Like you have to understand that your ancestors, specifically you two, your ancestors built this country.
Yep.
You know, my ancestors flew here. My parents flew here
Right.
when they came. You know, you guys built this country. Is it right that all these people you have presidents that had slaves on the bill, and we're using the currency. That is one thing
To this day, that's
to this
right.
day. It's like, don't you think that this is one thing that it's like owed? Like,
Yes,
what else do
I
we?
do.
Yeah.
And I know that
I think, but-
it's
and
just
also-
so hard for us to even
And it
see
forces
it. Probably.
people like not that I mean unless you live under a rock, you should know who Harriet Tubman is. But let's just say time goes on and time passes, and it's like it's gonna be somebody that you have to be like, who is this woman? Who is
Yeah,
this
yeah,
black woman
right,
on it?
right.
And it's a bill that you use all the time.
Yeah,
so
it
it'll
is.
be
It is.
constantly in your face all the time.
Yeah, but let's not forget that there are racist people in America.
So they're not going to use the $20 bill?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're gonna burn it. They're gonna show you. If they don't even like sneakers.
They're
so mad about.
But to me,
they're
they're
burning
gonna
their own-
be the.
Yes, because
they
you
are.
know they're not gonna want it.
Oh,
You
but
have
they're going to be like the 85-plus-year-old just people that's going to be. They're not going to be a breed that's going to be lasting forever in this
That's
country.
not true.
I think it's gonna be young
That's not
people.
true.
I think more
There's
so
young
be young
racist
people.
people.
I think the young. Didn't you hear
They're the
about
ones
young
that get
kids
triggered more.
Yes, I saw. There's young people shooting at Emmett Till's grave.
They had to
Yeah.
make it bulletproof.
like, what the heck is wrong
By
with
the
you?
way, shout out. They fixed it. It's bulletproof now.
Yeah, try doing that now, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of psycho? The guy got killed for whistling at a woman.
I know.
And you're telling me you're gonna shoot at his thing, but as target. Like, what do you get from that kind of?
Clout chasing.
True.
clout chasing? Yeah, but.
Do you care that she's not a president?
that's a good question.
That was another
I
one.
was just about to say is she's to me not really a politician, just political based in general. She's everybody on there is a president, and I felt like if me personally, if you say, Chris, what black person should be on there on a dollar bill first, I would say Frederick Douglass. Because even though he was more in the political
But she
base.
served as a general, you guys.
She's in the Civil War.
she was
served as a
in
general.
the Civil War. The
Yes,
first woman to
Yes, she did.
lead a troop.
Well, I heard that the motive here was that they wanted to, I guess the Treasury Department wanted to acknowledge, represent women in some way. And like, we can't if there's not a women president yet. And it's like, what do we got to do? Just wait forever, which looks like it's going to be forever.
You got Elizabeth Warren, girl.
Good luck with that.
Child.
Pocahontas.
So we're all on the consensus. So we do agree.
Yes.
So if the three of
I
us could
agree.
vote for Harriet Tubman to be on the $20 bill, how many
Yes.
of us would say yes?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
as long as there's nothing like
Me too.
pandering based or anything, just let's just do it. Like people agreed, and yeah, definitely. I don't have a problem with Harriet Tubman being on
that's-
currency.
That's good.
But this is the thing. The Democrats pushed it, and we already got the black people. So where's the...
Well, that's to keep the black people. It's because they see us going to the MAGA train, and they're like,
I
"Oh,
doubt
look,
it.
we got Harriet Tubman now. Look on the $20 bill. Come back.
no.
Look, we love you guys."
Hey guys, it's Maxine here with a special message for our listeners. I want to thank you for listening to Politics Podcast and wanted to share an exciting offer to entrepreneurs and supporters. We are now offering businesses the opportunity to be advertised on our show during this mid-roll. If you're interested, please email hello@politicspodcast.com. We are also taking support from our listeners through the Anchor app. Just click the Support This Podcast button and you can give whatever you want. The funding is helpful to increase our production so we can add video and start marketing and advertising for our podcast. We appreciate you and please continue to listen to the show.
All right, let's get into some politics. So this happened a couple weeks ago. Tulsi, one of our other Democratic hopefuls, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. She tweeted calling out Hillary Clinton. Yeah, this is a favorite topic for a certain someone. This is her tweet, in quotes. The queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party. Ooh. I'm just putting some of it. I couldn't put all of it.
I love it.
In Gabbard's telling, her party's 2016 nominee was behind a concerted campaign to destroy my reputation. Through your proxies and powerful allies in the corporate media and the war machine, don't cowardly hide behind your proxies. Join the race directly. So this came because, and I was like, why did she do this? Where did this come from? So I don't know if you guys know, but this came after Hillary Clinton called Tulsi the favorite of the Russians.
But she didn't say her name, by the way.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Being politically correct.
But wait, the favorite,
which I rarely do, but I'm doing it because it's my girl. Let me stop.
I know. For those listening, our 2016 surrogate was Maxine. Over here, she was a
great.
Yeah. But anyways,
they're gonna come for me.
They're gonna come for you. Prepping anyway. So Hillary called her the favorite of Russians, prepping for the third party spoiler run during a podcast interview. She went so far as to imply that the representative was a Russian asset. So I want to know, guys, do you really think that this is a great way for Democrats to really get what is Hillary's point in doing this? Why even open up about the candidates? No one is talking about the candidates.
Because she might be trying to run again?
No, she's not.
Please, Lord, no.
She's not.
But no, people have said that she hasn't said no yet, and she actually said she
said
head, don't test me. Don't no. She said
she
don't.
Ain't doing it.
She said don't.
In her head, she's president right now. In her head.
Well, she's
only in her head.
In my head, no. In my head too, she is president too.
Okay, well,
she earned the popular vote, so in my head, she should have been.
But Trump won the electoral fifth president to do that in American history. I mean, if we're going, like I said again, if we're going to do this history, then we got to go back and eliminate the 4 presidents that did it before Trump and say they weren't presidents, and we haven't done that, so we can't do it with Trump.
Wow, he's right.
He's a good point. But Electoral College is the BS.
I'm not, no, because if to me, when I was younger, when I was in school, I remember hearing about it the first time. I was like, yeah, this is BS. People. But then I lived in New York City, in Atlanta, and I said, no, the country should decide, not cities. And if we had the popular vote, it would be New York City.
But some places have votes
LA.
and it's like 30 people in their town. It's like, why do they have such a big, certain places don't need to have that many electoral...
Because they're a big part when it comes to the physical
that's apparently
labor.
The algorithm. It's supposed to be fair because they considered the towns that have one person in it. And that the electoral vote... Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm so conflicted too about the electoral. Damn, girl, can you get a position on anything?
I know.
I've been conflicted constantly. I don't mean to. I guess that's why I'm in the middle, right?
Yeah. She lives in the gray.
But no, maybe they need to revisit the algorithm because we shouldn't be having these situations. I don't know.
But why did Hillary?
I don't know.
Because people, look at New York, for example. New York is a red state, by the way. The only places that vote blue in New York City are 4 of the 5 boroughs.
Like,
I'm not sorry, New York State, but New York City. It's 4 to 5 boroughs vote blue. The state votes red. These 4 boroughs decide what the whole entire state does.
Because it has all the people.
But these people come from other states, from California. Like I came to New York. A lot of people who are living here aren't from New York. They're from California. They're from all these other states that aren't New York. So these people from other states come here.
They're from
India and China. They dictate what does American. That's crazy to me. That's like that.
Why is it crazy to you that people from other places?
If they live here, they're still voting for
because you're not because you're not American. But that's why. Because and I say that and I say this and this is what I mean by this.
They can't register to vote.
No, listen to what I said. There's people that come here in the 20s and 30s. The immigrants that came to this country throughout this whole country's history. But you look at the immigrants in the 20s and 30s that came here, they were coming here like, I want to be an American. I want to be an American. I want to be an American.
What about the Indians that
now
come here?
people come here, they're like, yo, F America, yo. I want the benefits. Give me the benefits, yo. I'll send all my money back to my country, help my family out.
I think that's a narrative.
The people don't want to be an American. I looked at the 2016 election. There were people in California just acting the fool. Like just Mexican flags waving all over the place. F America. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing here? I said, cut this whole border on California and cut them all be Mexico then.
You know, can I just say something about
how you like that.
I'm glad that you talked about LA because I was in LA recently and first of all, one thing, LA has become a hub for sorry for the people that live. Huh?
I can't do that.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Wait, I feel sorry. I'm not saying I feel sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry to my LA listeners, but there's a lot of homeless people there.
Oh, that's been a problem.
But it's like,
is it getting worse?
Skid Row
It was always really bad.
It felt worse this time. I don't know if I was just in
New Orleans was bad too when I was there.
Really?
Yeah.
But anyway. I don't actually remember that many
But LA's really.
But LA, and I thought New York has some homeless.
But I thought LA that was known.
They do, and I've been to LA maybe 30 times in my life, but this time in particular, I don't know. It's because I was staying down. I was staying downtown.
It's record numbers to have in
unfortunately, I never stay downtown. I only stay downtown when I have the awards because BET puts us downtown because it's close to the Staples Center. And my friend's wedding was close, but honestly, it was just horrible.
Oh,
it's like it kind of brings you down a little bit. It's like hard,
very depressing.
and it's not even. I shouldn't talk like, oh, I don't want to see them, but it's just like, no, it's like, what are we doing about these things? Like these people just don't have places to live. Like it's horrible. Now I don't know why I brought this up, but I think I was. What were we saying?
No, it's.
Where were you going with that?
But it is a good point though. It is.
No, he was saying something.
But that's the thing. That's what we're saying about
people not being true Americans and cutting.
Oh, right. No, but the other point I was going to make about LA is that everything is named after Hispanic, like Los Angeles, Los the Angels,
because that's
like
the origin.
Everything, Los Filos, like every single thing is Spanish. You have to understand, California was taken over by Americans. That was part of Mexico. It was I think it was annexed by them, right? Mexico had the country had this.
I can't remember, but
they did. They had New Mexico.
Of course, the culture's not going to go.
Why do you think it was called New Mexico?
Yeah, but I'm saying the culture's not going to just go away.
Yeah, but how do you? So then, how does he come and say,
you know how you do
"Get
it?
out of my country"? When you took their country, you took their. That was they owned that.
You lost the battle. You lose the battle. The victor goes to spoils. People, that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Around the whole entire world, other than America, the victor goes to spoils, and that's what goes in our country too. You lost, and the way we can protect that now is we build a wall right along the border.
Oh,
that's when you lose me.
And I know you don't have to agree.
Listen, you know what my thing about immigration, Chris? I'm going to tell you. My thing about immigration is I think the border thing is shameful. It's just a construction project that they're just trying to get up. That's all I think about. I think it has nothing to do with the immigration. I'm more concerned, if I really want to talk about immigration and the problem, I'm more concerned with people overstaying their visas. That's something that I feel like there's no control of that. People are, and not that I want people to just be taken out of this country. However, I do feel like it's not fair because I know that there's people in Haiti that wanted to come to America.
I know
there's people, and they were pushed.
Take
and
your
remember,
place.
Unfortunately, the president, and there's a time when Bill Clinton pushed back his policy was send them back. Right when they came, their boat came to the border, they pushed them right back. You know what I mean? And it's been very tough, but it's not fair because just because. Yes, the Mexicans.
You're smart or something like that.
Yeah, but or you find a way to get into this country and then you overstay. Russians do it. British people do it. Italians do it. Africans do it. Haitians do it. It's all Chinese people do it. And that is more of a concern to me. People coming in through the legal channels.
I totally agree.
That is something that I feel like, okay, so who's checking those things?
And my thing is this. Once we build that wall, the second step, Go after those people
telling you,
that came
was a
here,
waste of
now,
time.
to take care of that.
Unless
It's like,
you're going to put those
because we can
alligators
we
like
can
your
put
man
more,
wants.
we can put more focus in on that, because now we're knowing people aren't just sneaking all over the place. Now we know people aren't sneaking all over the place. Okay, now that we're done with that, now who's coming over here overstaying their visas? Who's now we come after that, but we got to do one to do the other. You can't have people sneaking over here. Then we're checking people for overstaying their visas, and people are like, "Well, this dude just snuck over here across a freaking invisible line."
Right, but
What's he doing there?
They do say that it's a lot. They've been tough. Even Obama was tough with the Mexican border.
There's Democrats and Republicans who've been tough.
Have been very tough because they know it's a problem. They don't want to
Exactly, so let's build that wall.
But they're not. But what about? Let's fix the real problem. The real problem is these people coming and overstaying.
But they're not concerned with them because they don't think they're committing crimes.
Huh? That's a crime to overstay your visa.
Like violent crimes.
Oh, okay.
Drugs, sex trafficking, things like that.
Oh, no, they're concerned about that. They're concerned
So
about.
you think that Mexicans are the only people?
I'm just saying that's the narrative the border people are trying to go
that
with.
thing is so bull.
They're the rapists, the murderers,
Yep.
the bad hombres.
Yes.
Right?
No. Like I said, Trump said this. Mexico's not sitting their best, which they're not. I'm gonna be honest with you. The ones sneaking over here aren't
They're
their best.
setting women. Mom, you gotta watch this thing. That's not true.
I know.
Chris, you gotta watch this thing. Please watch this on Netflix.
70% of people coming over are males. There's 70% of them are males of military age.
When you get settled in, please watch it.
Yeah, she said if I have the emotional state.
No, there's women coming over here too.
She's saying there's a Netflix
documentary, docuseries. Please watch it.
What's it called?
I have to look for the name. It's something.
Girl, that was your moment.
I gave you the opening and then
Damn, Burner. Oh my God, guys, I'll find it. What were you saying, Chris? Sorry.
No, I was saying that the people coming over, 70% are coming over are male. Military age.
But hold up. Chris, every restaurant in every corner of New York City, okay, has a guy washing the dishes, doing the food. You could be at an Italian restaurant, and let me tell you, Pablo has made the whole meal. Okay,
I know.
So let's keep it 100.
I know.
Every restaurant.
They're doing the cleaning. They're doing your landscaping. All the little nice landscaping that you see. That's what I see. Mm-hmm. That's what I hear. Those are the illegals I've interacted with mostly. I don't know if that's just New York City, if I'm living in a box. I don't know.
That's pretty much
standard. Is the what's I've seen.
Now, when
hardworking people.
No, they are hardworking.
And we've had this conversation.
Yeah, we could beat this to the.
Oh, and it's called Living Undocumented.
Yes, please watch that if you're listening. It's a great docuseries. Chris, I would love for you to watch it just to get your point, so that we can talk about this, and you can say what you think, and just really see it from the other side. How these are people that some of them get.
He's willing to listen.
I do. I put people in other people's shoes. I know there's people out here that are working hard, who are doing the right thing, who's doing this. There's people who did it in the 60s and the 50s, when I say back in the day, that came over here and they had to kind of come sneak over here, and then they worked hard, and now they're American citizens for 30, 40 years.
And it's funny because a lot of their descendants have the perspective you have, and it's like, but you're
and there's a lot of legal
your
immigrants here.
Came over here illegally.
Exactly. My mom and dad had to bust their butt. You're not going to sneak over this border and get it for free.
But
no, get back over there.
There are people, and you know what? There's even a lot of even a lot of Latino people that
very much so.
They're so.
I don't understand how I don't understand how Cubans specifically, but a lot of Hispanic people are so tough on immigration. It's almost like they're like second or third generation. All of a sudden they forget. Yeah, but I'm like, God, that's kind of, you are very selfish.
No,
you benefited, but now you are hating on others who are trying to have the same
because
situation.
they know what I said earlier. Their parents and their grandparents came over here with, I want to be an American. They're seeing these immigrants coming over here, sneaking over here like, yo, F America, yo, this country's blah, 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 blah. This country's racist, da, da, da. This Trump racist. And they're seeing that like, yo, if you don't come over here, love this country, bro. Like, my parents and grandparents love this country. What does it mean
but you also, hold up. But
when Nixon was president.
No, but I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back because you also had issue with the hardworking, undocumented, because they're taking the job. So it's like, what if they're coming in, they're being honest citizens and they love America and they want to be Americans? You still got a problem with them because they're taking jobs.
Not taking jobs. They're taking the jobs and not knowing our language. So yeah, you're taking the jobs and you're working your butt off. When I say, hey, Pedro, I need this done, you look at me like I'm the crazy one. I'm like, yo, this is my country, son. Like, I'm speaking my language. If you can't understand what I'm saying, then get out of here. And I look at when I speak to the immigrants who are like the fathers, the grandparents, that era, when they come over here, they learned English before they even came to America. They didn't know they were ever coming to America, and they learned the language before they even had a chance. And when they finally got their foots here, they were like English all day long.
So isn't that what DACA and those path to citizenship does, because don't they have to learn English and like do all that kind of stuff to get citizenship?
Government ran. I don't trust anything.
Oh,
that's
you don't
government.
trust that? Okay.
Smaller
I'm
government.
trying here. I'm
Smaller
trying.
government.
I'm trying to get you to see.
Yeah, I know. I do see, I see the immigrants that were coming over here, and like I said, even in the '80s with the Cubans that came over here to Florida, when they came here, they were like, we want to be Americans. Like, please let us be. And they were like, we were told them like, well, learn our language. Okay, give me a book. I'll learn it right now. Like, let me do anything. These immigrants coming over here now are like, yo, F Trump, yo, F you racist, bunch of white stupid.
I can't say everyone.
Not everybody's like that, but I see a lot who are, and they're the ones who aren't learning a lick of English because they're like, yo, I can make money here. F this country, I can make money and send it back to my country and benefit my family. Why do I ever gotta love this country? F this country.
Right.
Damn.
Well, that's all we have for today. So on that note, I want to talk about a couple of things before we go. So it's election. Well, first of all, it's Halloween, so happy Halloween to you guys if you're listening.
Halloween.
It's in a couple days.
For those who celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, for those who celebrate, right? You going as Trump?
That was good.
Black
We'll
Trump.
go with Hillary. Oh God! Remember when everybody was going in as Hillary and Trump? Oh my God!
Oh, that was awesome.
I haven't
Done it.
Wait, can I like real quickly?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't dress up anymore.
Okay.
Twice. Okay, I'll tell you why. Twice in my life, I didn't get the memo that you can't wear costumes to school, and I was the only one. Can I tell you the two times real quick? The first one, I was in 4th grade, and I was a witch. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it because my mom took a picture that morning before I went, and I was a witch. And wait, you guys, I didn't have a change of clothes, and I painted my face purple. And in fact, I remember I did a little like strike with the slits through it, and I'll never forget when I opened.
She like
Listen.
she went. She did
I know
the
she went
whole
all
thing. She
details.
went all
Every
over
little
it probably.
detail.
And I will never forget the day when it was Halloween, and I opened the door, and all the kids turned and looked at me, and I was the only one in a costume.
Oh my God!
And I was like, nah, this didn't happen. And I had my face painted. It's not like you could like take it off real quick, like my face. And I have a picture. So, and the second time, ready for the second time? I know we gotta go.
Wait, but the funny part is, I could see her just like
It was
you
so,
just
and had
like
the top hat, and everything. Like,
Oh no!
it was
If
so
If
bad.
we would have grew up together, I would have been talking about this since senior year in high school,
I
and
wanted-
bringing it up every year.
She
I started.
has
Remember?
nothing. You remember the time we
Bewitched?
You remember Bewitched?
Can I tell you the
I'm
second
sorry,
time?
I'm literally crying.
This is real stuff. The second time I was, I want to say 12. So what is that? 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 7th grade. And I dressed up as a gigantic SpongeBob.
Oh.
You know, like huge.
Oh.
And again, didn't know that I didn't get the memo, so I didn't have a change of clothes. And I was also, they call them, this is in the suburbs, they say the manager of the girl soccer team where you do the book and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And we had an away game, and I had no change of clothes. So not only was I teased the entire day, but then on the field, I had to do the managing.
No
And these
way.
little kids were chasing me like I was the mascot and trying to jump on me.
Yes.
Because you just see a gigantic SpongeBob.
I love it.
So anyway, point is,
How old were you? Is this
I was 12.
12.
Oh, I thought you said high
This is
school. I was
awesome.
like,
Middle
what
school,
the
middle
freak?
school. And I was just like,
Yes.
this did not happen to me
Again? For the second time.
Uh,
Yo, what did you think? Like, did they tell you to wear it?
It was so bad.
Oh my
So like,
God.
I don't do Halloween. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's why.
All right.
Sorry. Just
All right, so
that was
we're
a good
gonna
way to
end that. That was, if you guys enjoyed that, that was so funny.
story.
I'm so
True
sorry I was
story.
laughing.
That's a different kind of scary Halloween
but that's
story
a scary
there.
Halloween story.
That's trauma.
That is trauma. She literally oh, poor girl. All right, and also it's election day, so if you have candidates you're voting for, I'm not sure if we have anything in New York. I haven't seen anything, or in New Jersey of anything pressing. Probably in your local towns if you're in New Jersey. There's city councils, there's assembly people. So
We gotta
definitely
put out like is it like Ballotpedia?
Yeah.
There's a lot of websites out there.
Yeah.
If you don't know where to go for your polling station.
Yeah.
Who to vote? Like what the
I just did a rock.
races are.
Yeah, I just did a Rock the Vote event, and you can go to Rock the Vote website, and you should be able to find a way to like vote there. You can register there, rockthevote.org.
Is that Puffy thing?
No,
Puffy,
it's
okay.
not. He was part of it, but he's not. It's not. He
Okay.
has
All
nothing
right,
to
I
do
promote it then.
Jeez, yeah. Okay, he's joking. He's joking, Revolt. He's joking. All right, so we're going to leave this right here. We're going to end it here. Thanks for listening to us, Politrick Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast,
What?
please. Did I just?
You just slurred there.
Little tongue twist right there.
Politics podcast. You said podcast. I think it's just you haven't gotten over my story.
I know. It's just
Girl can't speak.
I know. It was so funny. I'm just trying to rush. Okay, I'm just trying to rush out. Okay. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed listening to the Politics podcast, please hit subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know if you want to hear a certain topic. Email us at politrixpod or hello@politrixpod.com. And I'm Kirsten D on Instagram.
Maxine.Outerbridge.
Chris Wright in New York.
And we are out. Thank you.
Bye.
I think they got something they want to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. I think they got something they want to say.